That music always makes you think of like a rave or something, you know. But
Yeah.
maybe it needs to be more. I don't know.
Oh, welcome.
Nice and soothing intro.
Exactly. Well, we're
Yeah,
here
well,
for another Sunday night chat.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Rob? You've been a bit
Oh,
quiet recently.
yeah, my wife went out of town Thursday. She comes back Monday or Tuesday. She has a girls' weekend every year, and so it's just been me and my daughter, and I have been just painting. So I have been working on the new model, right? But then I'm like, this is my second. I have the original metal one, and I've got this one. But you gotta have 3 warlocks in an ogre army, right? So then I took that same model, cut the staff off his hand, and I know it's not coming in very great. And then took the Paymaster's resin head, and then obviously he's done in a pink robe, which it works for the theme of the army. It's pinks, purples, and blues. So I'll have 3 painted up. I'm almost done with those, and then I'm painting up 4. I don't know what they're called. Chaos. GW Forge World Chaos Bull Centaurs. I don't know the big, not
the Bull
no,
Dwarves?
not the old like ones. These are. Let me grab one.
He goes back into his warehouse.
Yeah. We'll give him 10 minutes to come back. He's got to walk to the back.
Here's one of the ones that somebody gave me pro painted.
Oh, okay. Oh, like the Chaos Dwarf stuff. Yeah.
So, but I had a bag of 3 that were unpainted. And so I'm going to strip one of these because this is painted like shit, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And so I started painting him in the normal grays and stuff. And I'm going to do 4 of them, and I'm going to make them a horde of chariots.
Nice.
Because I have 2 regiments of chariots that can make a legion. I figure a 4-pack will just, be cool.
Get you all the shapes.
So I've been painting. My wife's been out of town. And then I collect. I'm like an avid toy collector as well. And this weekend was Hasbro PulseCon, so like they release all of the stuff, and so all day yesterday was me in front of a computer just ordering shit. Get the pre-order in. Let's go. Let's get the pre-order in. Get the credit card.
Get all the toys.
Yeah. So no, but I've got some tournaments coming up. We've got I know we've got some tournaments to talk about today. We've got Alamo just happened, and obviously your big event just happened as well, and then only a couple weeks away we've got the Forge in Birmingham, Alabama, and then Living Legends is coming up in December, and so many events still to go this year. I'm excited. So that's me. What about you, Matt? What have you been up to?
I've just been
editing podcasts. I've been editing podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, just doing all the heavy lifting.
That's right. Hey, I did listen to those that are listening out live. We got our last one our Matt and Jeremy have their last one from the Clash of Kings coming up Wednesday, and I got to the first hour, and this one finally delivered. Because like you kind of BS this a lot of times, like, oh, we're gonna give you this.
There's a lot of like just ticket.
Yeah, I'm not really. No, this one they actually give you the goods. So I'm glad to see that you finally fulfilled after all that foreplay. So
yeah, thanks. Well, I love a bit of foreplay. Who doesn't?
Stringing us along.
I'm a generous lover.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but no, I've just been hobbying. I can show you actually. I think I can share this. I've been almost finished my Phoenix.
I'm digging it. Now, what is that? A 3D printed model?
Purchased 3D printed, but yeah, I'm 3D printing a smaller version to use as Julius.
That's resin,
Titan
or
Forge,
is this
right?
PLA?
Yeah, Titan Forge. No, this is resin. Yep.
Okay.
And so I thought I'd finished, but then as I was loading this up, I realized I haven't done the eyes. I need to go back and do the eyes.
Oh, you got to do the eyes, man.
I know.
That makes or break the model, man.
Yeah. So this will be a Phoenix. So
awesome.
That looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a good model.
So sweet. Now, what is it exactly? I mean, it's like a bird, but what's on the top there? Is that crown?
Just like it's just like a
feathers
feather. Weird feather, yeah.
All right.
But I just wanted to find a way to get the gold from the theme in there, so I thought the legs and those top feathers.
I like what you did on the. Did you dry brush the wings, or did you line highlight, or what did you do?
Bit of both. Yeah,
good.
Bit of both. So
That's
I
awesome.
staged down with my reds. So I just went and kind of highlight it up in the way I normally do on my armor for the other models. But I just did that progressively down the wings and then did a touch of light and highlighting on the bottom wings.
It's super hard to, like, having done a Griffin, it's super hard to be consistent all the way through, right? Like, if you're line highlighting, it's like, man, it's hard because, I mean, there's 200-300 feathers on there. Right?
And it also depends on the model. So I didn't do any line highlighting on those top rows, but also the lines aren't really there. Whereas, so I saved it for the bigger pyramid.
I actually think that might make it easier if they're not really there. Because then you don't have to be like, oh, it's in the wrong spot. And the texture doesn't have to, the texture's not inadvertently working against you. So I think that's a good thing. It's very cool. How are you going to base it? Is it going to be flying in the air?
No, so that tail sits on the base. So that wrapped around my
I'm a little disappointed. I was expecting, way up in the air, kind of caw, caw. Or I don't, that was terrible. What is one of your indigenous birds sounds?
Oh, well, we've got a kookaburra, but that just laughs.
Yes. Now, all right, this is a weird segue, but there used to be a kids program here in the U.S. about a kid, Australia, and a kid that gets lost in the outback, and there's a kookaburra in it, and basically a kangaroo saves her life. I'll have to. I think it's called like Dottie. I'll have to look it up. It's from like either the 70s or the 80s. And
I told American or an Australian shit, not Dot and the Kangaroo.
That's it.
Yeah.
You should love that show, man. I told my daughter about it, and she thought I was just making it up. But it's got some very scary, ominous parts.
Yeah. Good show.
They're coming to try to kill the Aboriginal. I don't know
I think I know the theme song. Dot and the bush kangaroo.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
We've got a hello from Adrian, so we better acknowledge that.
Oh yes.
Hey, Adrian.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us as usual. But the real hard worker of the weekend has been Mr. Coos.
Lots of heavy lifting.
Before you start, Alex, I've got something here that's very unbelievable. Now, this is an action shot from the weekend.
Oh.
And reportedly, the 16 minutes was left on Mr. Coos's clock. Now, we haven't actually had any external verification on this, but reportedly, Mr. Coos was near the end of the game, still with 16 minutes remaining.
That was the end of the game. That was after we rolled for 7, which we didn't get.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. What growth?
Yeah. You guys, it's just your constant,
badgering.
Badgering. I was gonna say encouragement.
Yeah, needling.
It was heartbreaking actually. So this weekend not heartbreaking. That's an overstatement. But this weekend I ran the King Beyond the Wall 2. So it's the second time I've run my GT here in Hamilton. We ended up getting 16 players after some drops and some border issues, but so it was a pretty good turnout. A lot of it's all locals except for one. Chris Murphy made it up from Connecticut. He actually got across the border. I think some people were just worried about the rigmarole and all the administrative details, so they kept their distance, which is totally fine because I know it's a huge pain in the ass sometimes dealing with testing and border officials.
Yeah.
So it's 15 Canadians and 1 American. Although one of the new players he's from Australia. He was living in Eastern Ontario near the Quebec border, but Tim Wright, he's an Aussie escapee. He moved.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had 16 players, three guys who only had a few games under their belt. We had 2 guys who had completely new painted armies, like who have never had a painted army before, which was awesome to see. Lots of growth in the scene with painting. So I think a lot of people had extra time on their hands, obviously. But the event went really well. We used the same venue as last time, as the Veterans Association here in Hamilton, and where we have a Hamilton Tabletop Gaming Society that's just all games, and that's where we hold our monthly get together. So it was good. It's we've got people from Northern Ontario, all over Hamilton, and Kitchener, Waterloo, and Oshawa. Uh, I gotta say, like the level of paint quality has definitely improved in our meta, and I think there's a bunch of new players, but I think the people who have been playing for a long time, you could see that they continue to grow as well. So the top of the top 4 tables were hotly contested all weekend. It came down to like the top 3 tables on game 5 pretty much.
I've got some pictures of some of the armies here. Do you want me to chuck those up?
Yeah, you can show them up.
Yeah. Let's share this. Okay, so we've got a few, and then I think we've got a few from a can I zoom
So that's
that?
Steve MacArthur's ogres.
Now I was going to ask you. So you had 2 those regiments of Berserker Braves, or those?
Yeah, he has 2 regiments of Berserker Braves with the bully up front, and then he has 2 Siegebreaker hordes. He used they're a pretty cool conversion actually. He took like the Orc 40K helicopter blades and put them together to make the shields.
Like at the Defcopter or something?
Yeah, and he took like I think it was like 40K or fantasy Orc helmets and like bored them out and then put them on top of the Mantic or ogre heads for the helmets.
Oh, wow.
And how many hordes of Siegebreakers did he have?
He had 2, and then the one guy he has one of the Song of Ice and Fire giants in the back row of one of his hordes.
Right.
And then he has the
regiment of chariots, I think.
Yeah, he has a regiment of chariots at the back with boots,
and some boomers,
a boomer, and then he has the Conquest giant.
Yeah,
and then
Conquest giant's awesome.
It's so good. I think it fits with his army so well. He's got
actually my corner at the store. He took the Conquest giant, and if you just make him a little taller, he's awesome, dude. Because he's, for those that haven't seen,
he's pretty thick in the waist.
He's pretty fat, right? Like a short and squat guy. But if you just elongate him a little bit by bumping his waist up,
he doesn't.
Either way, though, even if you don't, it's still a good model.
And
it's cheap.
Yeah, he's at Nom and another Warlock, and then some Fleabag.
What points were you guys playing?
1995.
Okay, I was gonna say that's only 2 Siegebreaker hordes. That's light, bro.
I didn't share the one photo of the winning army, but just you wait. They're a man. John's a man after your heart, Rob.
Love it. I love it.
And this was Nathaniel Whitfield's Northern Alliance. He had the Mantic Frost Giant, and then he had another 3D print giant in the back. And I got some close-ups of these dwarves. They're like a mixture of like classic GW and Black Tree design metal dwarves. They're so great. They have that kind of gnomish, like cartoony vibe. It's really great. 3 ice elemental hordes and some ice queens.
Yeah, nice. Yep, pretty. There's not much variety in that army.
No, it's like 3 of this, 3 of this, 3 of this, and two. But I followed your hobby rubric to a sort of like roughly, Rob, and so
cool.
A bunch of guys wrote their own fluff for their army and stuff, and Nathaniel's is actually pretty funny because it's kind of reads like a quest from a video game. Like he's been sent on a mission with these dwarves and ice elementals, and like Krim might be bringing frost giants in the area and stuff like that. It's actually really funny.
There's something to be said though about giving people an opportunity to do things like if they're not really great painters, but give them an alternative way to score some hobby points.
Absolutely.
Like he's writing a theme or a background story.
Nathaniel's creative, and he won Best Sportsman as well. And and it's just a nice way for them to express themselves because I think probably 5 or 6 guys actually wrote a page of fluff for their army, which was pretty cool.
Just just a heads up, if you have Billy Capgun show up though, you got at Blue City, like you're
gonna have a novel.
No, yeah, it was like 35 minutes, and I was like trying to get the Apollo hook, the come up the stage. It's like, man, he was just going. So you got
no.
What I like about this is the display board is simple, right? It shows you that you don't have to kind of spend weeks on a display board for it to really work with your army.
You can be very effective with just a little bit. I agree.
Yep. What do we got next? Oh, this is cool.
This is Jesse Bilbia, his undead army, his what is it? Synthwave color scheme.
I love it. It's totally like 8, man. It's totally.
Yeah, it's just a riot of
is
colors.
It all airbrushed or?
Well, he started it by hand wet blending actually.
Well, that's crazy.
He got an airbrush about a third of the way through it, which helped him finish it in time for the army. But he was working on his Revenant RevCav, and I think some SRI in by hand wet blending, and I think it was he realized that it was going to take too long that way, so he bought an airbrush.
Yeah.
But
Thank goodness.
it turned out great.
Yeah, that is epic. I love that.
You could see it from across the room.
Yeah. What do we got next? We've got the Green Bastards.
Yeah, this is a Matt Vermeuren's orc army, the only orcs there for the weekend. But it's awesome to see this army because Matt has been playing in like our Southern Ontario scene like almost like probably as long as I have been, and he's come such a long way with. He's been playing orcs the whole time, but like his paint level and like hobby has just like been going up and up every year. So but he's just stuck with orcs, and he just keeps painting more orcs, keeps painting them better. So it's a great army.
Also, 1995 makes it easier to do a display board, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to fit everything on like a reasonable size.
Yeah, you don't have to have it.
Start getting 2400, you got to like have a giant. And it also depends on the army too. Horde armies are a little bit harder to pack on.
Yeah, so he's got 2 fight wagon regiments, which are not a lot of people use, but he has like the trolls pushing the chariots like wheelbarrows and covered in gore. It's pretty great.
Yeah. There we go, Adrian. Yeah, I agree, Adrian. There's some cool stuff there. Yeah. And then, we've got another one here.
This is Robert Schuring's Brotherhood army. It's kind of like
love it.
That classic Bretonian look, but he has some new beasts of nature, like some new 3D prints and sculpts, and then some Naya heart piercers in there. I loved just the castle and the tents and stuff like that. It really just had like this perfect theme. Looks
got
great.
that vibe, doesn't it? Just that, like you say, that old school. But
I'm assuming he 3D printed the towers and stuff in the back.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, looks cool.
And he found in the tents as well. And he has like his woodland critters are all like unique little things, and like the basing's pretty good. And it's just a nice.
Yeah, sorry, Alex.
Oh, I just say it's just a nice army to look at. You just like walk up to the table and you're happy.
Yeah. I reckon it could even be foam, that back bit.
Yeah, I actually, we'll have to double check with Robert, but
yeah,
I know the tents were prints.
Yeah, I reckon the back could be foam, but yeah, who knows? But it looks great. And then if we skip forward, I think we had some zoom in. We'll come back to this stuff of this undead army. We had a few shots.
Oh yeah, this is the best hobbyist here.
Best hobbyist.
So Matt Langtree. This is Matt Langtree and his undead army. He was one of our other orc players, and he had been working on that orc army for years, and he's notoriously slow painter. And he was worried that he wouldn't get this army done by the end of next year.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So great. Fantastic storytelling there.
Yeah. So he has this undead army that's like overrunning a village, and every unit base is like a building that's like has peasants or soldiers in it getting like overrun by zombies or revenants or it's
well, even if you look there, like that's 2 troops that just fit perfectly together. Yeah. Like he's continued the basing so he can use it as a regiment, obviously, or either. But the basing, it's not just 2 bits of generic basing that look like they go together.
It's one of those. He's one of those guys. Like he got a 3D printer, and I think he just like got the most out of it. Like he is a great hobbyist who really takes his time and like really is really thoughtful about how he like makes his army. So he just really planned this whole thing out. He has his whites like going through buildings. He has his werewolves like going around the corner. These are zombies here. It's just
and storming. Awesome. I think there's a knight still up.
This is like the tower.
Yeah. But Adrian brings up that's why you go to tournaments, is to see armies like that, right? For sure.
And I think like his display board is a bit large, but that's like he's planning for to keep expanding the army. So
right.
Yeah.
And then he has like a poured resin like river or like sewage.
I see it. It's pretty awesome.
It's incredible. It's all bubbling and
now is that foam that he's textured and cut, or is that?
Yeah, I think so. And then a resin poured water.
That's awesome.
And it's one of those things that from afar you're like, I almost might be able to do that, but then as soon as you get up close, you're like, actually, no, I can't.
Yeah, it's like you can.
It just takes time, but
it just takes time.
But like you look at his painting, and it's like it's really colorful, but it's also like a little desaturated and subtle. So like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the more you look at it,
color.
But the more you look at it, the more you actually see. It's pretty cool, and like there's a lot of different colors in it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those whites are 3D printed.
Those are the Mersha whites, actually.
Oh, they are the Mersha whites.
They're the big ones, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, wow.
Man, don't worry. You know, we have a Mersha aficionado on the cast
Yeah,
with
yeah,
us.
true, true.
I may or may not know all of them.
He just mainlines Mersha.
It's got a whole room of shame dedicated to Mersha.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
like half the room.
Only half the room.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
That's
it's pretty
nice.
great. Yeah, so those are some
I
of the
might,
top like nice looking armies, and then so Steve MacArthur there at the Ogre Army, he missed
Oops.
his first game because of hot water malfunction in his home, hot
Oh
water
no.
heater. So that's the game that I played as ringer. But he came back and won all 4 of his other games and actually placed 6th or out of 16.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
wow. These are your final results there.
Yeah, so he's actually down 6 points on sports just because he didn't have an opponent in round 1, and he still got 6th place. It's just like
Yeah,
he
wow.
just stomped everyone on his way up.
And
But yeah,
so
so
we had 2 McCreadys. They're related, I'm
yes,
guessing.
the McCready brothers.
Hmm.
So John, Mike, and Steve and I we go to Crossroads together as the A team, and that's like
Mhm.
we're like, and then Jesse's from North Bay, and then Matt is from just a little small town like 40 minutes from us called Air. So it's like it's good to see Matt as well. You see all the top guys there. Like we're the ones that have been playing the longest together in the
Mm.
community. I think it's just it makes sense because we've been playing the longest. But then you get a lot of the new players at the bottom. It's like it's just really good to see people coming into the community. Like Ted, new player, Seth, and Tim, they're all brand new players. Ben, he's been playing Warhammer forever, but he's
Yeah.
getting back in.
Eamon's your resin dealer, right?
Correct. He printed
Yeah.
the trophy, the first place
Yep.
trophy for us, and he printed off a full table of like Hagglethorn Hollow terrain for the raffle.
Yeah,
He
nice.
also
That's
printed a
awesome.
whole bunch of little steps that you could use to prop up units. So everyone got steps in their swag bag, and then Ben, he's a tool and die maker, so he cut little 45-degree and 1-inch spacers at a
Yeah, nice.
like thin sheets of steel, so you get like a nice heavy weighted. We called them shivs, but so we got
Yeah.
John McCready won overall. He had a ogre army with it's like all troll blood miniatures from War Machine.
Mhm.
It's painted really nicely. I forgot to get the photos sent to you, but
Oh, you can post them up on maybe post
yeah,
them
I'll
up
put
this
them
week
up
on Facebook. Yeah.
and 5 Siegebreaker hordes, two
Yeah.
Berserker regiments.
That's a lot in 1995 for those.
Yeah, it
adding
is.
up.
It's
I
like
mean,
5
I
hammers.
had 4 at 2300 and I took a lot of shit. So
Yeah. Oh, he took a lot of shit.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's painted
think I
really
can.
nicely, and
Yeah.
it's a big change. He was a big elf player in second edition, so he's been having like a little bit of trouble finding his footing for what army he wanted to play in third. So he's really taken ogres like as his mission this year, like since the spring. And
Mhm.
Mike McCready got best general, who actually it's one of those cases where best overall was best overall, and best general like actually had a higher battle score than overall.
But
I think
sports
I've
and
got the list here.
Well, as this
Yep.
paint
awesome.
was a little bit. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
Dirty
So
ogres.
But I mean, Berserker Bay regiments, I'll stand by they are one of the best chaff units in the game.
Absolutely.
Dash
Yeah.
15, push them forward, and if you want to get them a little cheeky, you give them like Meat of Madness
Mm-hmm.
or Brew of Haste, and you can just send them out there flying like a little missile. They die, great. They don't die, that's great too.
Yeah.
Either way, you got to deal with them.
And he was, all the guys at the top tables were there all weekend. So I think they all played each other at some point.
Yeah.
Mike McCready had dwarves, and he's been playing dwarves for pretty much ever, like for 4 or 5 years, and he's really like fine-tuned his list and his play style.
Mm.
Did you guys have any shooty armies that showed up?
Not really. We had one abyssal dwarf list with decimators and 2 mortars, but it didn't do great.
Yeah. Well, that's combined arms, right? So
yeah,
that was a reasonable amount of shooting. So
yeah, Chris Murphy brought like 2 Lohi regiments, the Lohi horde, 2 knights, Julius, and Naeus. So he had a pretty fast laying army, but it's mainly just a lot of combat armies and mixed arms. Like, you had the Brotherhood army with like the 2 heart piercers and knights and beasts of nature. Nothing too too skewy. Like there was, Jesse's undead people were kind of laughing at in the matchup cast. It's like 2 Soul Reaver infantry regiments, 2 whites, 2 Rev Cav troops, 2 zombies, but no shooting.
Interesting.
Yep.
What'd you learn? And what are the takeaways from this? Because this is year number 2 for you.
Yeah, I think I was like without the community, the events wouldn't happen. Like I'm just a facilitator. Like everyone pitches in. It's like we had, Mike LaHaye made some amazing trees, and like we showed those on the cast a while ago. They showed up and they're like this tall. Like you can't even see.
Those are awesome.
They're like this tall.
That's awesome because they're to scale. They're like
exactly.
Real trees.
So it made like the tables look great. John McCready, like the overall winner, he has been working on terrain and like painting up some really cool blocking pieces all year long, like since last year. So I think really, and like Eamon was printing stuff nonstop for us. So I think the biggest takeaway is like you can't do this on your own, and it's okay because it's for everyone. It's not just for one person. I think I like this paint scoring and sports scoring. That was like inspired by yours, Rob. Like just kind of, no one in the room was a dick. We didn't need to have ranked sports scores.
Yes, the sports scoring, the way I think we're talking about the same thing, which is sports scoring isn't really a separator unless you're an asshole. Generally, most of the people are going to be close to each other in sports because you take it as a given that you're not a dickhead. And it's only if you're a dick, then and then
I did a separate favorite opponent. You picked the first and second.
So you took the popularity contest out of it, which is great, So
then that didn't contribute to your score, but you still got people. Nathaniel got 4 favorite opponent votes, I think. So I think it's or something like that. So he earned it, and then I think with the painting score, I think getting used to judging people's paint because it feels weird judging people's effort. So I think I went through with a bit of a check mark rubric with a little subjectivity. So I think I'll tweak it a little bit going into our event in March. But all in all, like it ran smoothly. Like doing it the first time, everything seemed like a panic, and this time setup and running it was pretty smooth. I think I got to remember to make some checklists for myself for the weekend.
Yeah, it's important. It's important
because things get away from you
at the beginning. This is what I need to do at the end.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're making announcements and stuff, just knowing when
making announcements, taking all the photos, making sure you get the paint judging done on time, making sure you're like actually doing everything in a timely fashion. Because it's easy to get distracted. None of us had seen each other in like 18 months, so a lot of the weekend was just hanging out, and then just like me getting distracted because and like Dan Miner from Vancouver showed up for lunch on Saturday because he was visiting his sister for like, a family function.
That's amazing.
So he came by for pizza on Saturday. So we just hung out for like an hour.
That's amazing. I love Dan.
It was incredible. Dan's a great dude, and he came to the first one. It was unfortunate he couldn't come to play for this one, but
that's awesome.
It's just like but that's what the tournament's about, is like getting together and like seeing people you haven't seen and just hanging out. So
when's the next one? I mean, you must be thinking already, right?
So we have a 1 day. We're gonna do one in March, at the beginning of March. I've been running on 1 day. I ran it twice before, in March, a March of Death. So I'm gonna
March of Death. I like it.
I'm gonna make it a 2-day this year for next year, and just we got the Black Knight Games in Hamilton they bought the convenience store next to them, so they converted it entirely into gaming space.
Oh, great!
So there's room for like, I think he said 12 to 20 tables.
Wow!
So we're gonna.
There's something to be said with, if you want to grow your scene, having a 2-day GT in your store. Yeah, dude, you can't underestimate how impactful that can be, because all the regular guys and girls that are playing and stuff, they're coming through and they're like, what are they just playing? What's going on?
Yeah,
and like,
I think it's going to be good, and we'll have awesome. We'll have 2 1 days leading up to it in December and February.
Nice.
So
awesome. Did you use Tabletop TO? I'm assuming
I did.
I love that software.
For the
the battle scores and the
attrition
and stuff.
And then I just had like a Google spreadsheet for sports and paint and stuff like that.
What a weekend, guys! We had. I was just thinking about this. We had King Beyond the Wall. We had the Alamo GT. We had the Dragonfall Con. Like 3 events in one weekend. Like
all over the continent.
All over the place. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, because you got Alamo down in obviously San Antonio, and the Dragonfall, I guess, in like Geneva, Wisconsin. It's like and then you guys up in was it Hamilton? You guys
Yeah,
were in?
Hamilton. Yeah.
So, I mean, anybody just wondering like where we are at Kings of War. I mean, that's a good coming out of the COVID. We have 3 events on one weekend.
Yeah, new players,
yeah.
and like we had some new players on our Facebook group, like the Ontario Facebook group, and it's like, people are like, oh, you should come to the event. And they're like, well, we're not ready to come to an event, but it's like it's just encouraging for them to see that the scene is healthy enough to have a GT, right?
You've hit a memory. Like I remember back when I ran my first event for Kings of War at like NashCon 2000. I guess it would have been 2016. Drew Gaddy, who is an infamous jerk off for bringing the worst list possible. It's my fault he plays Kings of War. But anyways, long story short, he came to NashCon and was like, hey, Rob, how you doing? Great. I'm like, well, let me show you this game. Showed them the game on Friday night. We got him an army, and he played in the event Saturday and Sunday. And he was in the Masters this past year. So, and he was on a top table, late in the rounds with his bullshit berserker Brock.
Oh yeah,
army.
yeah.
But like it's just an example that you can learn. If you've played this game a couple times and you have a list, come play, because the games aren't really that much different than
I think the biggest takeaway from the new players, all 3 of them, they're like, it would have taken so long to learn as much as I did this weekend. Like they learned so much about the game from that, because like you're playing it all day for 2 days, and you're talking about it with people who've like done things, like they've played in way more events than you. It's like it's just a great opportunity to learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge compressed to you, like in a small little.
You're going to be unpacking it for weeks, kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Kings of War player, or a new Kings of War player for that matter.
Yeah, and I think we saw some things be a little bit smaller than before, right? But every month that goes by is the benefit of time. So the further we make our way through COVID, the better, overall. Even if it's a case of more people getting it, at least they're immune to the second time then.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Should we touch on Alamo a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up the Alamo result.
Okay. That's exciting too. So Alamo, for those that don't know, it's an event. It's held in San Antonio every year. Usually, it's held in early November. With COVID, they had some issues that they weren't able to use their normal venue, so they had to change. Hence the reason why they're a couple weeks earlier than normal. And it does look like their numbers were a little down. I don't know how many there's. 20 players? I can't do the math, but
it's like 25 or 24 players.
So and that's an event usually would be in the mid 40s to 50s or even higher in past days. But yeah, so it's great to see Patrick Allen back on top, man. It's great to see the first master when I ran the U.S. Masters in Nashville. That was Pat went 6-0 and took it out, and it's great to see him back on.
And he's been playing Trident Realm for a while now too, right? So that's good to see him like.
And what I liked with this and yours, Alex, is that their general scores of the person that came first were all quite good, right? I mean, Pat, I think looking at there has the equal top general score.
Yeah, so you don't have a situation of where soft scores are 70%.
Changing the result.
Right, because what you want is you want to make the smell test, right? Like, okay, the person did really well on the table, was not a jerk, and brought a painted army, has a reasonable opportunity to win the event.
But like there's room to gain in hobby, but it's not gonna dominate if people are doing well on the table.
So Jay is basically saying, hey, I need to get to a tournament. You absolutely do. You don't have to learn to play. Actually, if you show up at an event the night before, they will teach you to play the game, and just go in and play the game, because I'm a person that learns from doing.
And we know he's got pretty enough.
He's got like 70 armies, doesn't he?
His elf army is looking mighty fine. Every time you post a picture in the Discord, I'm like, that is looking great.
Yeah. So just show up at an event.
Yeah, I've got Pat's list here, and I've got some pictures that he loaded on Fanatics that I downloaded so we could have a look. I was looking.
Daniel said the same thing. So yeah, I mean, you guys get to an event. I mean, you're missing out. They're a lot of fun.
We're in the hobby to play. We're in the hobby to play the game, and there's no better way to play games than go to an event.
I think I've said it before, but there's probably people watching that haven't heard it. I think my second and third, well, between second and seventh Kings of War was in a tournament, and it's just, dive in and learn.
Well,
And
when
the
I
thing is the
started,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
Oh, the
go ahead.
community's so kind and like welcoming that everyone will help you. Like no one's trying to like grind the noobs into dust. It's like they actually want to like help you, like, and point out when you're doing something that's like not quite.
Well, we
right.
had to teach Shannon not to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
something
well,
as
Jeremy likes to make children cry
Yeah,
too, but like it's
right.
there's a couple bad apples, but you know.
Yeah.
I mean, for me as a probably not necessarily a great player, but a seasoned player, what I tend to do is I just say, how much feedback do you want as we go along? So I mean, I can see that top players, if they really want to end up at the top, they might not give heaps, and I think the new players also have to be open to, I'm just going to make mistakes. I might not necessarily
well,
get
not
told.
necessarily like telling you like how to like what to do in every situation, but like they'll point it out if you're like getting things wrong, and
It's
like
super obvious.
and after the game, like you'll
Well, that's
definitely
just it
get
too,
a
like,
debrief.
The players at the top, it's like it's it there's a it segregates, right? Like you got the really high end players go up, and then the new players drop to the middle or the bottom, and then they find players that at that point they're not in it to win it, right? So you're going to find a lot of great players that are like minded with you, have the same temperament and the same they have the same intention at the table, and they're happy to show you the game, right? And the bigger the event, the better, because
the more separation you're going to get.
The more separation you're going to get. Yeah.
And so I've got Pat's list up on screen, which is a really interesting list. I've been playing a lot with Trident Realms. You just look at it and you're like, okay.
It's Pat though, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. Like he knows how to use stuff that on face value doesn't make sense.
He's very good with nimble things, right? So this list really plays to his strength.
Yeah. So because the giggers are nimble, the tree leapers are nimble,
the knuckers, the centurion.
Yep, the centurion. So I think he's a real master of the movement phase, isn't he? So which is to be a master of kings, that's where you got to be a master.
Deployment and master. Yeah. Deployment and movement.
So this is I find this a really interesting. I mean, Kairosh, the hunter in the deep, is a newer character. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember what they do. And then he's got Hector the Auto as well. Such a good character.
That guy's so difficult to get rid of.
Yeah. Cavalry Bane, I call him.
Yeah.
Oh man, so hard.
Yeah.
Ensnare and Phalanx, right?
Yep. Ensnare and Phalanx. And I think he's step 6 as well.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Now that you think about it, that's a neutral army, right? So can you ally in him?
No, he's a living legend.
Living legend. So damn it. So I'm thinking, man, if I could have him in my Kingdoms of Men army, that'd be great. That would be amazing.
Pat posted some pictures in Fanatics of his army.
Awesome.
And
he's doing resin pours for the first time. I remember him posting about that.
Yeah, so you can see that boat there is poured resin.
Right.
Underneath, which looks incredible. I downloaded most of them, so he's done a awesome job.
Thule. I like the sword that he's added to the Thule. That's cool. So given like a pirate theme, is that what he's doing, or?
Yeah, it looks like a cutlass or something like that the Thule had.
That must be one of the knuckers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's one of the new ones. Yeah,
that's the new knucker model. Yeah, it's awesome.
And
I dig that.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think we've got another angle here. You can see.
Oh wow,
yeah, I'd be scared too.
Yeah.
Is that another knucker? Oh, that's got to be
the
Centurion. No, that's the Centurion. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what this is actually.
Is it the Kraken?
Maybe it is his other. I reckon it's his other knucker potentially.
It might be the Kraken. It might look big, but maybe it's just the scales off.
Jay. We're this is pretty awesome looking army for sure. You should definitely, if you haven't, go over and check out the pictures.
So it's on Fanatics. Facebook. If you just go to Fanatics and search for Patrick's name, Patrick Zorro Allen, then you'll find it. So this is one of his giggers. And then,
is that the boat that GW makes, or is that like?
No, I think this is 3D printed. I think it's printed. I think I've seen this somewhere, but I can't remember who it is. Although you could be right. I'm not sure. And here's that resin pour from the back, and so you can see the rudder through the water, and
the ore
that's been dropped off the boat. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like the naiads are just like sporting from below. It's great.
Yeah, because that looks quite small there, but that's a horde base.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
There it is from front on.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are awesome.
And so as you can see,
there's
like,
the Kraken,
yeah, there's the Kraken. So I think this is a good place to make a point, right? So you always see these posts that go on about tournaments. You know, do I need to be MMC? Do I need to be PMC? Right? And the usual answer
and the
is
answer is no.
go
Look
for
at this
rule
army.
of cool.
No.
Go for rule of cool. You know.
Yeah, make the
And
base look full and cool. Like,
yeah. I'm never going to say to Patrick, you know, that is an MMC dude, you know, because he's used models, he's used Mantic models, but has he told a story with them and put effort in, you know,
That's awesome.
like, yeah, sure. If he'd done this many models on just a textured base, you'd say, go back to the drawing board, mate. But,
right.
you know, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's cracking. And then there were a few of this. Yeah, so these are his
Those are
tree
your
letters all
River
fitting together.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool.
Super cool army.
I think it's unfortunate because Ray Shields was going to come to King Beyond the Wall. He had a family thing come up, and he had a similar kind of very nimble, you know, double knucker, double centurion, tree leapers, you know, nimble worm riders, and I think that kind of army just gives people fits in the hands of a good general. Like, it just all that much movement, control. It just lets you don't know what to do, right? That thing looks like it hits super hard, but you never know where any of it's going to be.
No, exactly. And that's probably when I've been fiddling with Trident Realms recently, it's probably the more successful list builds for it is the ones that are maneuverable. Because like you said, most people don't have, you know, enough maneuverable stuff to cover all angles. Right. So, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, a lot of like medium fast, nimble things that fly, most of which that fly, right?
Yeah, with that being breaking your back on 2 hordes of ensnarers as well. So like you can't single shot an ensnarers, not if they're played well as well. No. And not if you've got an appropriately terrained board, which I'm assuming the Alamo does.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, Alamo's got it's everything in Texas is and I assume they use dot deployment, so you can put it in your, you know, you get to place the terrain, so it's to your advantage. Well, I don't have the final. I was just looking for Dragonfall. I'll share my screen. All I have is what's on Tabletop TO. And it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any of. I have not seen a post on from Mark Taylor.
I haven't either.
We can certainly. While you look, I'll show what's on Tabletop.
I'll search while you show. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can. So I mean, the usual suspects. Again, it's a little bit on the small side. Looks like there was 14 players. Now the problem with this event was, I believe, they were in a geographical spot where vaccines were either mandated or you had to have the COVID tests, you know, so there was, so that obviously it probably did limit who wanted to come. But you see the names, you know, Adam Ballard at top in terms of battle points doesn't surprise anybody, right? He's an amazing player. And then Kyle Peach and Alan Wigness. And you look through this list, it's a list of heavy hitters. A list of a lot of players that were at the GT I was just at, the Michigan GT a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, it looked like it was a cracking time. Hopefully we'll get a report from Mark at some point.
There's no post on
Was this
Fanatics.
Mark Taylor's event?
This is Mark Taylor's event at I think this is the second year he ran it. I think someone else maybe ran it before, but it's part of the Dragonfall GT. So it's like a big convention. I think it's in like Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So, but yeah. So I'm assuming, you know, Adam's a pretty decent painter. He's a pretty nice guy. I'm assuming that was a big enough lead probably for him to win it. I would be surprised if he didn't. And I don't think anybody would be surprised if Adam pulled it out, because he's a great player. You know, he's a perennial Masters player. So it's just crazy to think that there's so many great events going on. You know?
Yeah, well, we'll hopefully be starting to see some in Australia soon. We're starting to open up. Our vax rates are up at around that 80% double vaxxed, and some parts, like my part, getting close to above 90% of over 12-year-olds. So
perfect.
Yeah,
So
we should be.
you organize Clash of Kings. That's usually in January, right?
Yeah, we'll be a go. I don't think certainly between the most populous states, I think we'll all be open to each other. So I can't see it not going ahead. And I pulled it out of the convention this year. It's at the
That's
same
smart.
time. It's at the same time as a convention, but off-site. And just at this stage, if the convention runs, I'll have a big lunch break on day one where people can bugger
Go
off
over and
have a
check out the hall and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's smart.
that's cool.
And then we've essentially got our own location with its own, cafe and licensed, and so we'll just have a good time off-site.
Perfect.
Oh, it's Adrian Aussie. I didn't even know. Sorry, Adrian.
You did
I'll
say
add you
morning
Yeah,
at the beginning.
true.
So I got...
True. I'll add you to my love list.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Make sure you
You
get
might
your
not
spam
love to be
filter
on the
on,
list.
Start
Adrian.
getting my next picks ready now.
Yeah.
So what do you guys got
Yeah.
coming up event wise? Do you have anything, Alex? Any events that you're between now
Yeah,
and the end of the year?
I'm going to be running a one-day tournament at the Black Knight Games on December 4th. So that's going to be using the new Clash of Kings rules. We're just going to have it's going to be a couple weeks after it drops, so everyone will have a few weeks to furiously paint something new or just rejig their list. It's going to be $19.95 just so people don't have to stress too much about, so they'll be able to use what they have and not, but still try something new. And then I got to come up with a catchy name for it still and make a poster. Well, get Margaret to make one of her great posters for it.
Those are awesome.
This week.
Hey, and everybody, don't forget they still have the Pizza Jesus shirts available. Hey, we both got. Oh, Matt, come on, you let us down. I didn't send it over to Matt to tell him.
I actually bought mine and it's too small. I need to get another one.
Oh no.
Yeah,
you got to use it as your daughter's like a nightgown for your daughter.
Yeah, true.
There you go.
I need to share something with you. So Adrian just said I wanted to show you guys this, that he's from Kalgoorlie, right?
Yeah.
That is literally bumfuck nowhere, like a big mining town. That red dot is Kalgoorlie. So this is I can't zoom out.
What is that? Is that Perth?
So
Perth down,
is
oh
there,
wow. Yeah.
right?
So I just know Perth from World's End Radio, which used to be a podcast that covered. GW
So
games,
basically, there's population here all around the coast is the majority of the population, and then Kalgoorlie is in the middle of nowhere. So I'd say there's a significant chance that Adrian doesn't get.
Is there a green? What's the green mean? Is that population?
No,
that's
probably population because this wouldn't be populated.
Yeah, it's probably like wilderness that isn't desert.
Woods.
Okay. Yeah.
What's guaranteed is there's probably a very small population of a few thousand, but something like 10 pubs.
Yeah. Mining town. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It does have its own KFC and Nando's though, so there you go.
Yeah, you can get your chicken.
Do you guys get a lot of people from the West End for Kings?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you get a lot of people playing down like in Perth, like all the way from the west side?
Because you're in the east, right?
There's a few people in Perth. They're used. Yeah. So I'll zoom out actually. Let's do a geography lesson. So usually we used to have one guy that would come over every year, but we don't see them much because that is. So from there to there, I'm going to have to use kilometers, but from Perth to Sydney is like over 3,000 kilometers. Yeah, so that's like several days driving.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like 2,000 miles for.
Yeah, so this is where I am in here in Canberra. So it's 3 hours from here to Sydney, and then it's a good 6 down to Melbourne. So this is primarily where most of our local player base is that comes to CanCon. Clash of Kings. A couple come over from Adelaide and South Australia, and then up here is our other stronger player.
Was that what does that say?
Brisbane.
Brisbane, yeah, that's what I thought. All right.
Yeah. So they're a good.
What about New Zealanders? When are you getting some New Zealanders to come over and play with you guys?
I don't know. It's easy enough to drop. It's probably closer than for some of our it's closer for our New Zealand cousins than it is for the Perthians. So.
Right.
Yeah. They just got to jump across the Tasman.
Just a quick swim. Just get a waterproof army case, drag it behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny geographically, to think about Kings of War and where it's played, and it's It's crazy.
Well, you look at the size of that whole country there is about the population of Texas.
Right.
And like Texas is like the bottom corner.
Yeah, yeah. So we're very spread out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because Ontario is, you can fit Texas in the northern part of Ontario, like in the province that I'm in.
Cool. Well, we got anything else to talk about?
All I know is that I'm super jazzed to keep work. I took a big painting hobby hiatus this summer when it was like super hot out here. So I'm now that the tournament's done, the planning's up, and just having been around the hobby all weekend, I'm really excited to get working.
I'm just painting
again.
like, and I'm like, I'm in that zone where I don't care. Like if it's not perfect, that's okay. We're moving on. Like it's painted. We're moving on. I'm not trying to be Golden Demon. And that's when I don't know. That's when I enjoy it the most, when you're not like stressing over every little thing. It's like, blemish, who cares? It's on the back and I can see it.
Yeah, I'm coming the same. I'm painting most nights at the moment, except now my next on the painting table for the Dragon Empire, unfortunately, is about 30 infantrymen. So that'll probably
that's just long. I will say ogres are a fun army to paint, just from the standpoint you have a lot less models, right?
Yeah,
there's nothing like going from a 40-man horde of pike to 6 siege breakers, right? Like they're around the same amount of points.
Yeah,
but one takes they're not the same.
My Eamon, my resin dealer, he's got a Kickstarter for a bunch of ravens with the riders on it. So I'm gonna might be painting those up after I'm done my wolves and stuff, so I can transition the Cult of the Raven over to Order of the Green Lady.
It's interesting too. Like, that sounds awesome. That sounds super awesome. Sounds really interesting.
Sorry, no, everyone's excited.
I'm just like, I just have so much crap, like, and I'm just been trying to like, okay, let's paint this. So it is easier for me if I have a tournament. So like, I know I need 2 more warlocks and a horde of chariots, right? And that forces me to paint them. And then there's an event called Kings of Winter in December, which I think is like 2,500 points, like a big amount. A lot. So I think more siege breakers are in order. Or maybe I'll paint something else, but like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Just, it's funny because
I heard 5 hordes of siege breakers is a good strategy. So,
well, I went with 4 and it was pretty good, but I wish I would have had 5 because the chariots, man, while great, they were just the targets. Shannon and Mark just shot them off the table. They're like,
height 4 is a liability.
5, and I can see you. Oh yeah, blink, 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 blink. You're dead. Oh, here comes the soul drain or soul snare.
Twilight.
Empire Dust.
Dust.
He just shot me off the table, man. And that's why I only had Namagrok. Now I'm gonna have Namagrok and 2 of his friends. So nice. we're gonna have some party time.
How about you, Matt? You got your 30 infantry going?
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say, Daniel, you need to come. We're gonna be there. So come on. Since it would be a great event. I know it's a smaller event, like 20 to 30 players, and it's
that's still
a lot of fun
size.
guys.
Yeah, that's a good size. We were talking about how like that 20 to 30 player size, sweet spot for like socializing and it's like hanging out.
Yeah, so I think for me, the way I got my mojo going was, well, one, to get a rhythm going, but then paint some of those higher value units that like that might not even know. I mean, it just happens that in Basilia they're also good, right? Yeah. So Ogre Palanscard and Samacris and things like that. So then I'm already right. Oh, sweet. I've got my core of 2,000, from there, I don't need to add that much. And then I'll play with that, but then there's a bit less pressure and I'll be like, and from there, then I can go, okay, now what do I need to keep adding? So I think getting it up to an army that you can play with has been really motivating for me. Yeah. And now I'm ready to revisit infantry again. So another regiment of spears, and then I can put them together as a horde. And doing a couple of troops of Paladin Foot Guard.
Nice. Yeah, I think with the event in March, I think now I have like a 2-day event that I know that's going to happen. I think John is going to be the TO for that one. We'll both co-organize it again, but he'll be the TO this time, and I'll get to play in it. So I think that's going to be a good motivator for me to actually get the army finished.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, all right.
Show, guys. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Thanks
guess
for the
one last thing
catch-up.
to get us out of here. We're talking about a paint challenge or a
Oh, right.
competition, right? We've been
Mm.
talking about that behind the scenes. So if you guys have ideas of what you want us to do towards the end of this year and into next year, we threw out some ideas. Like Matt, maybe you had a couple suggestions, right?
No, I don't think it was me. I think it
It
was
wasn't
Jeremy.
you. Oh, it wasn't.
Jeremy.
But anyways, we've got some ideas that we'll probably.
Well, yeah, we
we'll
did the
probably-
mini exchange last year. Then we did the single model painting challenge at the beginning of the year. And
I think now would be a good opportunity to paint stuff that you're getting kind of back into the swing of things with Clash of Kings. So either it doesn't have to be a new army, but I'm adding some new additions to this army that's been revamped, right?
Yeah,
Clash of
I
Kings.
think
new
we'll make
unit.
it Clash related. Yeah.
Yeah.
So be thinking about that, and if you guys have suggestions on what we should do, let us know. I'm ready to paint. I love to paint.
Yeah, I'm feeling the hobby juices flowing again now.
Yeah, and I've got all this big box of resin ogre guys. So I want to play Vanguard, and I gotta get all these guys painted. Like, have you guys seen this guy from League of Infamy? He's a freaking pirate ogre, man.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, dude, he's amazing. The League of Infamy models that you could get as resin, crazy. There's a little goblin dude. By the way, come on. Luggets in a horde? Come on. Who's with me?
I don't
That's
think
pretty
anyone.
awesome.
I don't think
That's
anyone
pretty
doesn't play goblins is with you.
That's pretty awesome. And I got plenty of luggets to spare. So, but yeah. Get out there and paint. If you haven't started painting, get painting.
Get out there and paint. Get your juices flowing so that you're all prepped for whatever we decide to do.
Yeah. Paint.
If you got any ideas, post it on our Facebook page. And don't forget, we do have t-shirts with countercharge on TeePublic. The link is in the About section on the Facebook page. So if you want one, feel free. We've been asked in the past, and we finally broke down and made that happen so that people could get officially licensed t-shirts. Even though we had a guy that stuck onto our page and was trying to do some shady stuff.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So we had a guy that was like, "Hey, if you want these t-shirts, go to this link." I was like, "Oh God." So
yeah, and I think who alerted me to that? I think Nathan Arnold.
Donnie Croce.
Donnie Croce.
Oh, Donnie. And there was someone else. There was something else posted too that someone alerted it to us. I think Nathan. I can't remember.
Same person,
anyway,
right?
I think it was the same. Oh, that's what it was. Now I do remember. Yeah.
And you guys didn't boot him, because you guys didn't feel, I guess, compelled to go ahead and boot him. Hey, man.
No. So I did the silly thing.
I didn't get the message till after you guys had seen it.
Yeah. But he's booted now, so hopefully we'll keep it locked down. I'm surprised, honestly, we haven't had more. In fact, of how loose we are. I mean, because we have like 1,100 members or something, and really, if you ask to come in, and I don't know, I think anybody can approve it, right? So,
speaking of our 1,100 members, follow us on the YouTube
channel.
You can catch up on all the live casts that you've missed.
Yeah. Do you want to see my face weekly? Subscribe.
That's right. And don't forget to drop. We'll drop it at midnight on Wednesday morning. The last
final update.
It's really good too, especially if you're interested in Brother Mark. If you like the Brother Mark, it's all for you. And then
go bros.
They actually do spill the beans this time. Yeah. I did see this comment. Yeah, for
Kevin
sure.
Spear is pretty excited.
It's a great idea for ogres because you can big giant
surfaces. Yeah, big surfaces.
I tell you what, if Kevin Spear is excited now, he's going to have to hold himself back after the episode because he is going to be foaming at the mouth. Yeah, someone take that man a towel.
That's awesome.
Got to pat him down. Yeah.
All right.
Well, when do you guys want to take us out?
Until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks, everybody.